Hello and welcome to The Talk with Tariro, a program that we bring you weekly where we tackle all issues to do with ourselves as human beings, looking at our own health, looking at our own well-being as well as human beings. And today we are looking at one issue which has become quite topical and worrying in our country. That's the issue of human trafficking. Over the past months, we have heard of stories in the newspapers, girls stuck in foreign lands and being facing all forms of abuse in those countries. So this week we are going to really unpack, when we're talking about human trafficking, what exactly happens and what are the telltale signs that you need to look at. And then come next week, we're actually going to have one of the ladies who was trafficked and had a terrible ordeal in a foreign country to come and share experiences with us. So today on the show, we are joined by Mr. Gerald Johnson Chirichena. He comes from Vukani Trust, which is an anti-human traffic organization. Gerald, welcome to the talk.
Thank you, Tariro. It's good having me here.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come and be with us. Gerald, the issue of human trafficking, we've heard a lot. And for some of us, we actually might not even be clear in terms of what exactly are we talking about when we talk about human trafficking. So maybe unpack human trafficking for us.
Oh, thank you, Tariro. Human trafficking is actually, I can begin by saying it is a crime that shames us all. I always say human trafficking, it's barbaric, it's an insult to modern slavery, because it's actually the buying and selling of human beings. It is the commodification of human beings that is at play.
When you are saying buying and selling, who is selling and who is buying? If we look at the trends that are happening.
Okay, the trends that are there in the matrix of human trafficking is that there is a demand.
What?
Demand of cheap labor, demand of sex. Those are the two major demands that are out there in the market. So traffickers, they play on the vulnerability of the people. They recruit people to supply the demand. So people are desperate for jobs, for scholarships.
Yes.
Some just to explore the world. So they go on the internet, they get word of mouth by friends and with the social media. So they get offers. So one red flag of human trafficking is if the offer is too good to be true. And I always say, when something is too good to be true, definitely it's not true. So because of the high demand and the vulnerability of the people, traffickers, if I say traffickers, I mean anyone can be a trafficker. What I mean is anyone can be a trafficker and anyone can be a victim. Because human trafficking is a crime, Tariro, that is motivated by greed. And also by people want to make money, because it's a low-risk business. You don't need capital. You don't need to wait for production to complete. It's just a low-risk business, which has high returns. When we say it is a buying and selling, is that the agent would get the specifications of the buyer. Mostly, if you look in the sex industry, the people who do that, they know exactly the kind of people that they want. So which makes girls and the young women vulnerable. Because the sex demand will be the demand like young girls, virgin girls. So according to this specification, then the recruiters, they come up with a plan. For example, we had a scenario where a recruiter put up in the newspaper that is looking for somebody to do in the business, to work in the office secretary.
Also, they lie.
They lie. So when they do the interviews, they'll be looking for a specific kind of a person. That's how one of our survivors in Mutare got up to go to Kenya. She got a job which seemed legit. She had an interview on the
online Zoom.
On Zoom, and the setup
was an office.
Very legit. But when you get there, the scenario changes. So, human trafficking by definition, it is bringing people into exploitation.
Yes.
So when people are brought into exploitation, it's through fraud, deception. There are cases where people are kidnapped for human trafficking purposes. There are many of those cases as well. But mostly it is through deception, through fraud, that people are told things that are not really there. If we come a bit back home with the issue of Oman that is at hand, the ladies are told their jobs in Oman. Normally they are not told. Most of them, they tell us they are not told it's Oman. They're told they're going to Dubai.
To do what?
Right, to work as a maid. But the offer is good because it's free air transport, free visas, everything is processed.
Okay, Gerald.
Yes.
The agent processes everything. We will pick up our discussion just after this short break. Worryingly, Gerald has unpegged human trafficking. And like he said, this is a crime that should shame all of us. Did we know this is happening? Indeed, this is an eye-opener. Join us after this short break. Welcome back. Our discussion on an issue that worries us. Human trafficking continues on the Talk with Tariro. Gerald, you were talking about when the victims are lured, they are not told you are going to this specific country. You are going to a country like Dubai, which is quite attractive. You can proceed.
Yes. So when they are told that they are going to Dubai, every girl, every young woman, or even men, mind you, we now have men who have come up as victims.
Also?
Yes, that are also in Oman. So what I'm saying is, when every person would like, Dubai is a country which like everyone wants to go there. So they are told you are going to get money up from $400 US to $700
per month,
which would be increased as you go.
Yeah.
They are also told with ladies they're going to be given everything that has to do with women. Sanitary wear, clothes, and they will be told that you will be showered with gifts. We pick up the trend that the agents were using some of the women that are already in those situations to send audios and videos of themselves.
They'll be forcing them to do that.
Yes, they'll be forcing them to do that. So they make videos of them in a very nice building, nice place, showing off some gifts to lure the people that are here.
Yeah.
Right. So the whole process is very quick. We tried to get into the system to see how they do it.
Yeah.
We set up somebody pretending that she wanted to go. The process took 3 days.
Wow.
She already had a ticket.
And visa? Oman don't need a
Visa.
It's processed fast.
Very fast. They are so connected. This is one thing that human trafficking is. It's clandestine, and it seems it's loosely coordinated, but those people are very coordinated. It's a cartel. Here in Zimbabwe, the cartel involves even people in big places, because we had one audio of an agent who is in Oman, who is Zimbabwean. She actually said she has connections in the court system, in the prosecuting system, in the policing system. So there are people that facilitate this. Okay, Tariro, before I continue from there, when an agent
is doing these things. Some of the people, they are committing a crime unknowingly. For example, they use people to transport these people. They can call, because an agent can be someone that you know, but you don't know that is doing that.
That's what they're doing.
Can you pick this person for me, and they put that person on roadblock, and they don't know that this person is actually being solved. So when the girls, the process is done, when they get the visa, the PCR, and the vaccination cards, all those details. Mostly these are fake. When we did this with another lady, when we tried to see the processes, seated at Roadport here in 4th Street, seated in the office of the bus company, a PCR was brought from a well-known doctor in Harare.
When she had not done the test.
She had not done. I was sitting with her, and the PCR was brought, and the yellow vaccination card was brought. Right, because they had changed the system, because we mount up pressure at the airport, and they were now being quizzed when they were getting on the airport.
On the aeroplane,
so they changed the modus operandi. They were going through Roadport to Johannesburg,
and then fly from there.
And I recently picked another one. Recently they are getting visas, tourist visas for the maid. When they get to Oman, they change the visa into a
working visa.
Working visa. So they always change their modus operandi. So when they get to Oman, the situation changes, because the so-called sponsor, I hate calling these people sponsors. I normally want to call them the traffickers.
Yes, and they are traffickers.
Yes. So the sponsors, the so-called sponsors, they come. The first thing from the story that we have heard from the women, before they even exchange greetings, you must hand over the envelope that we'll be holding. The envelope will be having your visa, your passport. You hand it over. There and there, the freedom is stolen.
That's when you face your
Sometimes even a phone is taken. So what happens with the agent? The agent, there is an agent in Oman. There's an agent in Zimbabwe. The agent in Zimbabwe has also runners, people that recruit for him or her. So when the agent in Oman knows that the person is right on the plane, so it's like the girls are told to get photographs of them. Now I'm at the airport, they're in the plane.
I'm wearing this.
And now they know the person is on the plane. They get their money. So when they get there, they're given to these sponsors, where a lot of things happen. I think the girl is going to come
next week. She will explain to us all that.
But what happens is, with human trafficking, we are discussing the international one, but it also happens domestically.
How?
We have had cases of people who go to the rural areas. They recruit these small girls to bring them to town. Say they are looking for jobs for them. On the regional scene, we have the scene of the Timothy Omotoso's case. The Timothy Omotoso's case in South Africa is in the public domain.
It's in the public domain, yes.
Yes. And here in Zimbabwe, we have people that are doing, there are cartels that are doing that. We are made to understand, we are still to investigate that in the avenues, there are houses that are holding these small girls that are brought from
as sex workers now.
As sex workers.
Okay, worryingly. We will continue with the discussion after this very short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Our discussion continues. So, Gerald, before we went for the break, you were talking about how human trafficking is also happening in Zimbabwe.
Yes. Recently we have got, there's a woman that was arrested in Chitungwiza who had gone to Karoi and brought in some girls. We have countless stories of these issues. You go to Chiredzi, you would find out in the area around Chigarapasi Beer Hall, there's a street called Prayers, there's a street called Molly. Molly, apparently, Tariro, when I was doing this work, I learned that Molly was a kingpin, a woman, an old lady, was a kingpin around that area, was doing this for years. So we find these girls are given, they are like even runaway girls. During COVID, we had so much of these. There's so much trouble at home, gender-based violence, even hunger.
Yeah.
They go to town to look for jobs.
Yeah.
So they are seen in the market. Then these women, they pretend to be well-wishers. You're looking for a job. I can help you. You can stay at my house. Then the next thing, the girl is taught sex work. So this is happening. One thing that worries me, though, is it is happening right before our eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe because people are not conscious
Exactly.
that this is happening. We need a society maybe which opens up and which sees these things as a crime.
Yeah. So as we open up, Gerald, I know we need to start thinking about wrapping up. What are the things that we need to look out for? You spoke about if it's too good to be true, it is probably too good to be true. Then what should people look out for as we try and open our eyes?
Yes, people should be conscious of what human trafficking is. Human trafficking is not only about sexual exploitation.
Yeah.
People are are trafficked for sex, are trafficked for debt bondage. People are trafficked for labor and for human body parts. So people should look out for these signs. If it is too good to be true, it's not true. They should also do background checks of jobs that they are doing.
How do they check? Imagine that one you spoke about who had a Zoom interview, you are seeing everything. So how do they check? We want people to be aware.
That's where organizations like the Bukarani Trust come in, like the Center for Human Trafficking, Combating Human Trafficking at Bindura University. That's where they come in, because that's what we do. We do background checks, and even other organizations, they do that background checks. You need to check if it is a real school. Imagine, Tariro, we checked one school in India. It was not even a school. It was a hotel. It was a brothel. The address that was given. And somebody has already a ticket, wants to go. So you need to check for these signs. If, for example, if I take a scenario where a supermarket worker, how can a supermarket worker help identify?
Yeah.
If you see a man, probably like me, well-dressed, doing shopping for a small girl, the girl is small, and you can see the attachment.
Yeah. But this is not father and daughter.
This is not father and daughter. This is not grandpa and a granddaughter.
Yeah.
So you just need to raise an alarm. It's not bad. Even you check it up and no, it's really the granddaughter is just new from town, but you would have done diligence. Yes. One thing is, we need to check some of these things. Are these people together? When you are walking in the street, if you are conscious, you can actually tell at Roadport that there's something which is going on. Someone is being trafficked. In the homes like this, our neighbors, sometimes we have had cases where we have children. That was in Gweru, of all the places. She was taken from Mwenezi to Gweru. She stayed 2 years in Gweru. The girl didn't know where she was. That she was in Mambo Township, she didn't know. Because she was brought in, the day she was brought in, she never went out. She said for 2 years she went out 2 times when they went to church with the lady and come back. So they don't
was working as a maid
in Zimbabwe. So it means sometimes we need to check what is happening around us.
Yes.
People need to know. Sometimes people hear this house is just no one is seen going out. Actually, it's a sign.
Yeah.
If no one is seen going in or going out, but the house is neatly. That's how the 4 girls in the Mozambican issue that once dealt it,
Yeah.
we found. The only cars would just be driving in, but no one is seen outside. Actually, it was a sex house. It was a brothel. So we need to check some of the issues that seem to be normal.
Yeah.
I understand that we live a private life. We don't care what is happening on next door, but we don't know who might be in prison in the house next door.
Yeah.
So just opening up our eyes,
Yeah.
being conscious of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely being conscious of all these things. Human trafficking is a worrying trend, and it keeps on increasing. So when we say your message, maybe because you have said people need to be open, what would you then say is my message to Zimbabweans? Just creating awareness. I know next week we're going to go deep into the issues, hearing from one girl who actually went through this whole ordeal. But what is your parting shot to Zimbabweans on human trafficking?
I would say human trafficking is a crime that shames us all. We need to do something as individuals, as families, as corporates. We need to play our part. We need to be aware of human trafficking. I would say to Zimbabweans, let's be a community. Let's be a brother's keeper. When there is something that is going on that we don't understand, we need to check that out. We need to speak about human trafficking. Tariro, I am worried about public speakers. I am a fan of public speakers.
Yeah.
But really, I have not heard any public speaker or even who speaks against human trafficking.
Yeah.
We need to speak. We need to create hashtags about human trafficking. We need to make these discussions, even in our family, in our circles, that we understand. Doing this, it helps.
Yeah.
Because in our families, we talk about this. Maybe it's because dad does that.
Yeah.
My children now, they're even conscious. They even tell me some of the issues at school. Also, before I wrap up, human trafficking is interlinked with drug trafficking. People are also being trafficked for drugs. They're being trafficked from one street to another, or even being used in the family or in the home setting to peddle drugs. Young girls, young boys, stop human trafficking.
Indeed, powerful parting shot there. Let's stop human trafficking. And like what Gerald said, both men and women, boys and girls are prone to human trafficking. No one is safe, and it is a crime that shames us. Let's all make sure we have a role to play so that we protect our communities, we protect our beautiful country. Until next week, it's goodbye.